AD 43. The Saxons were here, and of course the steam rose out of the muddy land, and this was somewhere highly revered by the Saxons. They imagined that the gods lived in this ethereal area, and so they were taking the waters early, and they did build a temple here to their goddess of health, who was Sulis. That's why the Romans called their city Aquae Sulis, the waters of Sulis. However, there is a legend on how the city of Bath came to be built, and it's a rather lovely one. It goes back to the 8th century BC, and the son of King Lear, you may have heard of King Lear because of William Shakespeare's play, said to be the father of King Lear, Bladud. That's B-L-A-D-U-D. Prince Bladud was the local prince of one of the local tribes there, and sadly he caught leprosy. So he was banished from the village and ordered to look after the pigs, so he became the swineherd. Sadly, the pigs caught leprosy as well. But the pigs, being pigs, liked to roll around in the mud of the rising steam from the hot springs. And what do you know? The mud in the hot springs cured their leprosy. Here's a tank crossing area, everybody, with the yellow bollards. Yes, the waters cured the pig's leprosy. Bladud, being a smart lad, thought, aha, I'll give that a try myself. He jumps into the muddy springs. It cures his leprosy as well. So he returns to the village in triumph, becomes the king eventually, and builds his city on the foundation of the springs, which came to be the great city of Bath we have today. Now, when we, those of you that come with me for a little stroll, will notice in some of the architecture that they do include acorns in the architecture of Bath, and that is because acorns were considered to be the favourite food of pigs, and it remembers the legend of how Bath came to be founded. However, in more practical terms, the Romans created their city there on the hot springs. They built a temple and the Roman baths that you will be visiting this afternoon. They built their temple and baths for two reasons. One was to worship, and that was to worship the goddess Sulis Minerva. What they did was they incorporated the Saxon goddess Sulis with their own goddess of health Minerva, and created the goddess Sulis Minerva. So the temple was to worship the goddess, and the baths were for health and social reasons. Business will be done in the baths. Their baths were extraordinary. As we probably know, the Romans were quite amazing builders. The baths had hot springs, cold springs, they had Turkish baths, saunas, steam rooms. The whole place was heated by underfloor fires, and this central heating did not just include the floor, it went up between the walls as well to give central heating through the walls. So incredibly sophisticated. Now, of course, it's ruins nowadays. And what happened was the Romans, as you may have heard, stayed in England for about 500 years. Then they were all called back to Rome in the 5th century. And literally, when they left Bath, their baths went into, well, they were just forgotten about, basically, and they went into ruin. So I just should point out, their baths also included, which we still have to this day, a large reservoir in the middle made of lead, 2 meters high and 15 meters long, which served the great pool. They made their pipe work from sheets of lead that they would hammer around tree trunks and branches of various widths to form their pipe work, some of which still exist there today. And also the overflow back into the River Avon. We see that today inside the baths, 2,000 years old. Anyway, the Romans leave and it falls into disuse and disrepair, and they become forgotten about. And then the Saxons use the area of Bath as a burial site, and the baths become covered over, and they literally are forgotten about until 1878. So from the time the Romans left in the 400s, the 1400 years, basically we didn't know the Roman baths were there. When the Normans came in, now you've probably heard something about the Normans already. William the Conqueror, the Battle of Hastings, 1066. We lose the Battle of Hastings. The Norman king, William the Conqueror, is crowned at Westminster Abbey, and the Normans stamp their personality over the country. They build a huge cathedral in Bath, on the site of where Bath Abbey stands today, and they also build the King's Bath in the 12th century. The King's Bath is still there today. They built it over the Roman baths without even realizing that the Roman baths were actually there. And then in the 16th century, the Queen's Bath was added for the ladies, and no one still knew that the Roman baths were lying underneath. So you will see the King and the Queen's Bath. They're still pretty much in evidence today. Bath became a great place for, you know, taking the waters, which would also include drinking the water. And by the time you get to the 18th century, Bath was full of fashionable doctors who would offer all kinds of remedies for all kinds of diseases, and many of them would suggest you drank up to 10 pints of this stuff every day. As I say, it's got iron in it, 43 other minerals, and if you wish, the rooms next to the pump room next to the Roman baths, if you step in there, they'll sell you a glass of bath water for about 50 pence. If you want to try it, why not go for it and tell me what you think afterwards. It's an interesting experience. So Bath's got three main ages to it, really. The Roman era, just been talking about how it developed in the first place as the temples and the hot springs, then forgotten about for many, many years. The Saxons, during the time they were building their burial site over the city, also built an abbey. So the original Bath Abbey goes back to early Saxon times, is where the very first king of all England was crowned in the year 973. So King Edgar, the first king of all England, crowned at Bath Abbey in 973. The church we see standing there today is on the same site as the original Bath Abbey, and it dates back to the time of King Henry VII in the 1400s. So Bath Abbey today is a 15th century abbey and was founded by Bishop Oliver King, and it's a wonderful building. It's right next to the Roman bath, so we'll see that close up as well. Oliver King built the abbey because he said he had a dream. It came to him in a dream. He was ordered to build an abbey. The dream told him, let a king restore the crown and an olive establish the church. You see, it's a pun on his name, Oliver King. And he dreamt of a stairway to heaven with the angels climbing up the stairs on their way to heaven, and we'll see all this when we're standing in front of the church. So those are the early days of the city of Bath. The city we look at today is the 18th century Georgian city. Now here are some of the soldiers' barracks, by the way. We're passing through here. Now in the 18th century, Bath became the city we look at today. The classical style neoclassical style Georgian city, and there were three major players in the construction of the bath we see today. One of them was a man called Ralph Allen. Ralph Allen was a local man. He made his fortune in the